Recording. Okay. Let's begin. We'll start on the 12 monthly. And we were talking about this last week with Jess. Let's make some money while we can. Yeah. And while we're getting these huge swings, you got to be on the charts, making the most of it. Tight on risk and trying to get some of these expansions for sure. So we're on the 12 monthly. So we're talking about this with Jess last week as well, and this 12 monthly order block here, and price coming back in. I've had a really nice bounce and shot back up. If we go down to the 6 month, we were looking at this CB in here, this inverted fair value gap here on the 6 monthly. And we've come back and tapped that nicely. OTE from this swing, so from this low to this high. So we come back down towards that 618 there, 6.2 level. It's a really nice point of interest here we had, as we discussed in that previous stream last week. Always worth watching these higher time frame levels for strong reactions. If we go down to the monthly, so we're 10 days into the month so far, and we've opened low. So it's going to be interesting now to see how the next 2 weeks plays out. Got a huge week coming in now. And we have a monthly deviation here. Can measure too. Down to the SD 1.5. Just want to quickly just have a quick look at our current 5 minute, guys, for a sec. Currently in that 2100 macro. Got a manipulation zone here. Let's see. Just put my quarters on. Seem to be getting Q1 and Q4 manipulations a bit more since we've been having some Trump news. It's been interesting. Let's pop our deviation from this. So we had our 1.5. This is what I just shorted to this morning. And we can do an OTE swing of this as well. Come back up. We tested VWAP. We've got our 20 SMA here in that 2100 macro. A wickless candle here. End up being 1.7 to 1. Just going to put an alert on that and we'll just see if price comes back up. Tags that. Would prefer a 4 to 1 here then. 1.5, 1.7 to 1. I'm looking for a continuation down to this low. Possibly into that 2.5. And we could see what was our break down from here? 2, 3. So we're trying to catch that leg down to 3 to take the 1. And maybe later back up to this zone. Let's see. Just going to put a trade on there on my top step. We'll see if that gets tagged in while we're doing our review as well. Just on an eval. I'm flipping that 20 SMA, and our 200's way down here, way up in premium. And we'll mark out these other levels here. How'd everyone go in New York? Did you guys manage to catch some of that expansion? Set alert on this bottom one as well. All right, and we'll go back. So we were looking at the monthly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if it does become an open low, high close, or even if we close up around here or above this previous month. And then next month just come down into the wick that's been created and continue up. Should be fun to watch. All right, down to our weekly. These new drawings are going to annoy me now in this chart. Let me just get rid of those. Strong weekly so far, coming back with that bounce during New York. Down to SD 2.5. And we have that order block here. Still a point of interest later, hasn't been mitigated. And this one, so these 3 down close candles on the weekly here, prices come back to. So this was also unmitigated. So this low swing was responsible for this breakout here. So the push low That creates the break structure here. I change the state of delivery. Got our deviation there. Nicely up into the 4.5. And this is unmitigated, so price doesn't come back to this low manipulation swing that caused the breakout, which we've hit here, which was also that 6 monthly SIBI that we're talking about, and into that 12-month order block. Just looking at my other chart, I'm going to remove that limit order now. Price come straight down. Not looking like it's going to come back into that wick. Bear with us for a sec. Jump back to that 5-minute. So that was the go here, getting in either a VWAP there or 2105. Just when you have big wicks like this, like it's a nice failed swing, but the stop loss ends up being so large. Lose all your risk reward. Lose all your reward. All right, so yeah, so weekly, so we've come back to this order block here nicely. Bounced up. Got that volume imbalance in here as well. So we've been testing. Going to our daily. So we've come down. So this was an inside day for Tuesday. And then we've come down, swept the Tuesday low, and just powered up. My God, it's just 2,650 points. You can mark out this order block here as well. That was our weekly volume bounce that we're at the moment. And so these three up close candles are what caused this breakdown here. So we'll mark them out. We watch 50% of this level as well for a reaction. Hard to say what price will do from here after such a large expansion day. And maybe something like come back and rebalance this or back into this order block. So this order block here is going to become a bullish order block as well. Something like so. And then next week, if we end up breaking above this, get some nice bullish structure. Could then be leading back up into this weekly order block up here. Be pretty interesting to see if this becomes the low of the month. Now, after such a big push, just smash through the bearish PD arrays in here. All the SIBIs here for our 12-hour. So we've got a BPR3 here as well. Gaps on both sides. Daily. So we do want to watch this daily order block later. For our points of interest, and we can pop an OTE wherever the high ends up in here. For this comes up a bit higher, we can work with that as well. And start to get our points of interest for either over the next 2 days or for next week, whether we're going to open low, high, close next week, down into here, mitigate this, continue up. Keen to see how this plays out. Nice to finally get a bit of a change there. And for a daily change in state of delivery, we want to see a break above this April 2nd high. Then we'll be able to get a standard deviation from that and see how the rest of the year starts to play out. So yeah, that would be pretty interesting if we break this, come back. We can look at entries like we do with our 5-minute structure and work with those expansions up. That would be pretty fun to work with. What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to go into bullish second half of the year? Continue down with Trump. So yeah, 12-month bullish order block. Down around that 50% mark. It was the 618. Can't trust anything until the tariffs talk end. Yeah. We say that though, but like, has that all been planned for price to come back to get the lower prices? Is it all part of the manipulation? That's the question. Like, it's still being algorithmically delivered quite nicely. All right, let's jump into our 1-hour chart. Clean some of this up. So this is our 1 hour. So for those that normally tune in, this is what I try and work with for mapping out the whole week and working out whether we're getting a bullish or a bearish week, using the 1 hour change in state of deliveries to then plot the movement for the week and where we might be going. And so we started off with the with our Sunday low and into Monday here. We had a Monday change in state of delivery on the 1 hour. So that's what's given us this order block here. So from the high that made the low, and we drag that across. And we can see that's been respected so far. And that's what we come down for today's low. Quite nicely there. We had another break here. So we weren't sure if this was going to turn into a bearish week with that Monday high here. So we're watching these standard deviations as well, and the confirmation for that to come down into a bearish week. So obviously continuation and a break of these lows here, which hasn't happened. We've come down nicely. We've broken again. So this is really nice structure again on the 1 hour. So we can then draw another manipulation zone here for our 1 hour from this new one. And just like we do on the 5-minute, we can see we've broken out. Small displacement here. You can also do an OTE here from the low to the high. Get that in the right spot. So we come back. Souped that magic level again, 0.79, and then continued up down into 7 o'clock. It's a very nice structure on the 1 hour. The issue now is, as we're coming into Thursday and Friday, is we've already expanded to these levels. So we hit SD 4.5 from this low from Monday, and we're looking at these levels for the expansion for the whole week, pairing the 1 hour with the weekly candle. And we've just hit SD 4.5 from this 1 hour swing in one day of this huge swing here, which ended up almost 2,500 points. It's insane. Which doesn't leave us much to work with now for the next 2 days. If we look at a SBS structure, we've got our breakout leg here, 1, 2. This is the high here, it's 3. So possibly look for shorts to continue back down, even back into this zone here that's been flipped. And we get our 4 and 5. And we can do an OTE of this swing here as well. So this zone here, this was from previous week. And this was also unmitigated. So price hadn't come back here to mitigate orders used to push price up here. So orders were used to manipulate price, take out these highs, and then into that Trump news for the dump. So price needs to come back up here to release the trapped orders, which is what we've seen with strength here. Oops. Straight back up into that zone. And now we can also map out this 1 hour order block here, also as a point of interest, which is then back around OTE 705 and 79. So this down close candle is what was responsible for this leg up. So yeah, interesting to see if that does get visited over the next few days or even next week. Just huge swings. Guys, any questions so far? Just mute the mic for a sec and have a drink of coffee for a minute. All right. Any liquidity upside that CPI might want to take? Having trouble figuring out the extent of the volatility moves, to be honest. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's just that low just got taken. So if anyone managed to get that, or if anyone took that short, well done. Looks like that swing failure candle was the key there. Into that macro here. This is coming down. Just quickly jump back to that 5 minutes, sorry. Look at that current. So price is up in that 1 hour zone we're looking at, and then we had that manipulation swing here into the 1900 to make the market maker sell model. And we're watching this for the 2100 open. So that's our 2100 macro. Normally we'll see this at, you know, like a 5 minutes after or 10 minutes after the 2100 open. That's why I want another swing up to get a tighter position. And straight down to here. So it's rebalanced that CB. Rejected. Hit VWAP. Flipped the 20 SMA. Continued down. Next level's SD 2.5 to look at. There, which is at 096 into a redistribution. Whether that becomes another SBS or not. Map that out a bit later. All right, sorry. So other levels. So what we do when we're not sure about levels or where price is going to go, this is why we have these. Well, this is why I have like the 1 hour setup. So try and keep this chart set up all the time, and just having those zones. So before the week started, we've mapped out the order block here, which was unmitigated. We map out the low order blocks as they form on the 1 hour, and we're just working with price in between these support and resistance zones. And if price is going to continue up, like it's hard to expect another huge push after such a big move, especially for a week. Happy bull market, yeah. Like I feel it'd be abnormal for another like 1-to-1 leg of this to continue up. But the way we can watch it, if we come up and we flip this zone that we had as our high, you know, that we then have the liquidity of these equal highs up here. And then we've got liquidity here as well. There's so many levels that are unswept from this run down. That we can target later on. Oops. But all we want to do, Vinny, is work with these weekly structures, and we map out the legs and the standard deviations. And if you do a bit of back testing on this, what you'll find most weeks will only go to an SD 4.5 of a 1 hour leg for the week, and that becomes the end of the week, your most expansion. So it's hard to expect another huge volatility leg. I'll just be expecting price to sort of come back down, sweep 2 here, maybe finish the week around here, and retrace some of this. Does that help with your question? So yes, it gets hard to figure out where we'll go with the volatility, but the volatility, even though we're getting larger swings, it's still respecting our areas and it's respecting our standard deviation levels. Yeah, and just having, this is why I have multiple NQ contracts on for my charts, is I can then, so NQ1 is my main chart that I'll have for the 1 hour setup and my high time frame analysis. So I want to have that open all the time and always looking back on that when looking at the lower time frames. because that's our main map. And if we, if we're not looking at those high time frame moves and levels, it's so easy just to get stuck into those lower time frame movements, and then you end up being the liquidity, or you're missing the correct move as such. Especially for people that go right down to the 1 minute, because you get so many structure breaks in either direction. Always want to have that that high time frame mapped out and open if you can, if you've got enough screens. Yeah. So I have I have a vertical screen next to my main screen, and on that I have DXY. I have this NQ 1 hour chart open, and then have ES open. And ES I normally have on a 15-minute chart. Sometimes I'll drop that back to the 5-minute chart, and I just have that open to help look for the SMTs at the lows during London, like if we get an Asia sweep and an SMT. And then my main chart's a 5-minute 5-minute NQ. So there's nothing, there's no other deviation we can get to draw up here. Unless later, like let's say we do, now we hit that 4.5, we could come back. Let's say we have a bearish day for Thursday to come back into here. We hit TDO, sweep this high, and then we get a deviation. Then we've got something to measure off. For Thursday and Friday. Otherwise, we just want to take it easy through here. Yeah, nice looking 1 hour chart at the moment. This is what we like on the 5-minute, right? 5-minute paired with 4 hour. Let's say these, instead of TDO, if this was a 4 hour range here, this is exactly what I would want. So we get a sweep of a level, we get our breakout, we come back to OTE, into the zone, get our entry here, and then we have our take profits at SD 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. Straight through. All right, we'll jump into our daily review now. Let me just grab that chart. Five-minute. Keen to see how this goes. We can map out this leg here. Currently for today, I'll do a chart setup for today as well once we finish that review. We'll watch this level. So same thing we were talking about previously, those down close candles that caused the breakout, that took the high here, becomes unmitigated and plausible for price to draw back to that during Asia today. All right. So I've got a few zones down here that we had. So these were from the Monday lows. This is on the 5-minute chart. So this is back from, this was Sundays. So Sunday's swing here. So high, even to, this candle here. So high that made the low. And I did have a deviation on that from the previous reviews, which sort of smashed it out of the park here into Monday. So then we can grab London's here, this London swing. So it comes back into the zone, breaks out, get a retest here. And then we've come back into these zones. for Wednesday. And so London's low, so that was made at 1:30. London's low came into that Q3 low here. So straight back to where London's last manipulation was. Something I want to monitor a little bit more. So from the daily charts, you might see it a bit when we get the 9:30 manipulations. The next day, or even the day after, price tends to come back to that same zone. And you can stack the zones up, which just gives you extra confluence for the floor, or for the highs when we're coming down. So NYPM's just grinded down here. We've got our standard deviation here from NYPM. We've got our PDH up here, and the PDL. PDL is here. Sorry, I'll draw that all the way across. PDL is here. With that respect of that 20 SMA all the way down. So PDH, PDL, we've got our fixed range volume profile from the start of the day. So that's what this blue line is here. So that's where the maximum volume was, which created this selling leg down here as well. And we had a flip of, so from Tuesday, a flip of the 20 SMA there as well, which then just continued down. So very nice zone. So we start our day off, we put our zones on. So this was our NYAM. How do I use the volume profile? So if I just delete that, so I'm using fixed range volume profile. And I'm dragging it from the PDH to PDL. And then looking for that point of control, as well as other volume nodes that you start to see within the areas. And a lot of the times you'll see them appear at those standard deviation levels as well, which becomes, in this case, like redistribution levels at 1.5, 2.5, and down to the 4.5. So very nice, clean, accurate deviation from the New York AM manipulation swing here. So Vinny, this is what we do at the start of the day. I've popped a video in my mentorship channel on the daily setup as well. So PDH, PDL, fixed range volume profile. Then we map out the zones from the previous sessions. And we're looking, we do the OTE of the range. That's what this is here. So from PDH to PDL. So from the start of the day, I was looking for price to come back up into the OTE area as our draw, and even back to the POC here. And then plausible continuation down if we were going to continue down with a bearish week. So coming into Asia, Asia and London was looking for long setups to get us back up into those zones. The probabilities here were from the edge full, gap full for the Tokyo gap here. How to use the volume profile. So we did that, used to do that, just didn't know how to interpret it and use it for trading. Yeah, so what we're trying to do with the POC is just line that up with the PD arrays around our point of interest areas. And that's where it is nice if you have those other high volume nodes that come out a bit more, and we can draw on those order blocks. So this order block will be a point of interest as well. And New York PM high. So coming into Asia, I'd put in the chat, I would like to find a reversal once a load come in, and the NYPM high was going to be the draw on liquidity for Asia. which ended up taking into, like, it took until New York to start attacking that. Yeah, yeah. So that's the best way to use it. We want to see those max volume areas, high volume nodes around our other PD arrays. And that's just stacking confluence. So we've had our NYPM sell off here, creating some nice liquidity points as it builds. We had SMT here. So there's a long opportunity in Asia here. This was our Asia manipulation. I'll just put the quarters back on. We're in quarter 2 here. So we had our change in state of delivery. We come back down. There wasn't any displacement here though for the setup. SMT on this one. So this actually becomes our standard deviation measurement from this one, because this was the low. So YM made a low here and ES did as well, took out this low. So we can measure that one too. And that went to the SD 1.5. So remember, when we're going against trend and continuation, looking at that SD 1.1 to 1.5, and price normally reverses. I did want to see price come back here. We were talking about this as well in the chat, to come back and then have an entry here. In the chat, I was looking at a trade off of ES because ES hadn't reached 1.5 for this setup, for continuation up. Because the for the 5-minute manipulation trade ideas, once we've already hit SD 1.5, that's our TP1, so that negates the trade and we don't take it. That's why I was looking at it from ES. And just ended up watching this because we had news or the tariffs were coming into effect at midnight. So we've had this candle here, so then once the tariffs come in, and then prices just continued down. Which is okay. So the more legs like this that we get, the more liquidity is being built up. Which allows for some more confluence to get that long setup. So if we come back, we've come into quarter 2 in London. So we're below TDO now. We've got our TMSO level. If you look at that Q2 open, is here. Just put that on as well. So TMSO is our quarter 2 opens. And we use that to look for manipulation on the opposing side of that, as we do with TDO. So this is our true day open level here. So we're now into quarter 2 in London. We've manipulated below Asia. So Asia's been swept. Do not have that Asia low drawn on. This was our Asia low. So we swept Asia low, displaced this. So this swing becomes our Q2 manipulation zone for London, and then price just shoots up from there. So in my model, there was no entry point here. Straight to SD 1.5. Guys want to see some standard deviation accuracy again? 2.5, 3.5, and here's our high at 4.5. And so normally what we want to see is price come up, come back, we get an OTE swing like we showed on that 1 hour chart, and we enter within this zone and PD arrays within the zone. We had our Asia high. here at 2200. We'll put that on as well. Did anyone manage to get along in here with any of this? I think I've seen Frieden got some of this on his stream. Macro times, it's a bit off as well. So like this is our new H4 here. So normally with this sort of move aligned with a Q2 manipulation and a new H4, we would want the H4 to open low into our zone. So you're coming down to 215 plus OTE into our zone at 215 and then shoot up, getting a 4-hour open low high close would be ideal for this sort of setup. But 2 o'clock's just open high first and then come back. Didn't get into our zone, just tapped TDO here and then shot off. So moving along, we've got we hit SD 3.5 here. Retrace. I think in the chat during this time, I'd put in it was building a plausible bullish SBS for continuation to then take this high. So we'd had our breakout 1, 2, 3 takes 1, and then 4 takes 2 here, 4, 5. But it failed to sweep 3 there. Not sure if that swept on ES or YM. And YM. No, just retraced. So I've come back, got just sort of consolidating here really through Q4 into New York. So we've got our new H4 here. And we, so into Q2 again for the manipulation. We've come down back into this zone because this was unmitigated. London Q2, it's come back into that broken structure again and then taken off from there. So we can do a standard deviation on this one as well. From the low and the high that made the low. Breakout. Didn't tap the zone there either, and then it's just taken off. Straight up to that fixed range volume profile. So we get a reaction there as well. And into this zone. So quite nice with those 5-minute standard deviations again. Hitting 4.5 down here. New York AM manipulation again into the London zone. And then so as we've swept here, there's another SBS into there for the re-accumulation. If we mark out our SD 1.5. So for those that are new, SD 1.5 and SD 2 to 2.5, we look for those re-accumulation zones. And plausible SBSs being a swing breakout sequence, which Stoke TA developed. So we have our breakout, so it takes these highs, 1, 2, 3, sweeps 1, and then we get the sweep of 2, that becomes 4. And then in this case, it's the higher low, becomes 5. So unlock that. And then 6 takes 3, which becomes your draw, or one of your TP points, if not looking at the standard deviations for the TPs. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we also do a OTE swing from the low to 3. And normally looking for 4 or 5 to be around that OTE area, which was just at the 0.5 for this one. And if we draw out our 2, so yeah, sweep of 2, 4, 5, and we're looking, I'm trying to pair these with a macro time as well. So we can see here, this is at 11 o'clock open. Macro time for 11. Macro time for 12. So 12 o'clock open, 12:05. So this is building the low, getting ready for the low of the H1. Open low, high close. For continuation to 6. And all of that happening at the SD 1.5. So it's our reaccumulation. And then this was just huge. Let's come back out. So we can do another count here, even though it didn't sweep. 1, 2, 3. And then if looking for continuation here, we would want that sweep of 2 and then continue back up to 3 for New York PM. You can also put an order block here. 2, as that caused that next breakout. And then, so this was ended up being that Q2 to Q3 manipulation for the PM session. Get our 5-minute tweezer here. So we can see the bullish candle here just closes higher than that previous 5-minute open. Oops. Comes back down to 50% of the bearish candle here, continues up. Q3, so we can get a deviation from that too, just to finish the day off. And that swing continued to SD 2.5. Small retracement SD 1.5. Very interesting day. And some nice price action. It's just hard to get those. We weren't getting those retracements back into the zone. It's making it trickier for the model that I like to use anyway. Would have has missed the entries for both of these, unless you're just entering from the previous zone with a stop below here. Any questions on the daily review there, guys? So that all makes sense. We'll jump in. I'll just minimize this stuff and we'll do our chart setup for the day, and then I'll end the stream there. There's not too many questions. Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, man. Let me just get rid of some of this. All right, so we'll start our day. Just pop the kill zones and pivots indicator on. So we get our PDL, PDH we put on first. So London PDL. Pull that out. Oops. PDL, PDH. Put our daily range OTE. Now we need to reverse that. Pop our 4-hour candles on, up our 4-hour vertical lines. So we're currently in 1800 to 22. Open, high, low, close. 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10, 2, and 18. We're going to do our fixed range volume profile. So from PDL, from that London PDL up to PDH. See all the volumes come in here. That's tap that pop. Sent up. 20 SMA here as well. So nice flip. And just continues above, keeping a bullish structure. Once we flip the 200, so this other one's the 200 and the blue one there's the 20. So we flip that into that 1 p.m. macro and then full send. We want NYPM, so NYPM high is our PDH. So we'll have that here, plus NYPM high. NYPM low is all the way down here. And we'll draw a POC on RVP. And we want our zones as well. So we'll grab that London Q2 zone down the bottom. Mitigated by the New York AM Q2 zone. And that was Q2 as well. Take that off, and then we just want the high zone, which we have this swing high here, and then this one We grab that. That was our NY PM high zone, which was in quarter 3. So we're going to grab this swing here. And we can work off that as well to help plot the low play SD. For the day. Such a big range. NYAM zone, will you do that post 9:30 or 8:30? NY. Do you mean like do we pre-draw them on the chart? Which one do I use normally? So we want the zone. We want the manipulation that caused the breakout. So so we would have this, so I'll be drawing this up as it plays out, correct? Before 9:30, yeah. So always an ever-growing chart, Vinny. And we want to map those zones out as they're playing out because that's what we're looking for trades from. So if we hadn't expanded all the way to the SD 4.5 on that 1 hour chart from this expansion leg, which is already reached what we would expect as the high of the week, I'd be looking for retracement and then long. So what we can do today is just use the range that we're in, and whether, like, depending how deep this goes, we just want to use each previous session high and low for the draw on liquidities for our areas. So I'm not really interested in any longs up here. We're up in premium. It's hard to say if this will get broken or if we just end up with an inside day. And longs we would want normally down here. Just such a huge range from this news. So that's our daily chart setup. We normally add any other arrays around that OTE area. So we can grab this leg here as well, which is also around that point of control. And that was the downswing that caused the breakout here. And we can even grab this Q4 one here, which come down, swept the intermediate term low, created the short term low. So points of interest down here. If I was looking for shorts, would really want a sweep later, like in London. Say, for example, if we were going to get a London high of the day and we come up, sweep this, get a break of structure, and then push back towards that NYPM low, which is plausible as well for a PO3. So for example, if we just keep consolidating in here with Asia, come back up into the 2 o'clock H4, and then we get our break, come back. So that would be PDH sweep at Asia sweep, change in state of delivery, displacement down, get a new zone, and we look for shorts. Back towards Asia low, wherever that comes in, and then an NYPM low, as well as using the standard deviation levels that get created. And PO3 would mean the accumulation here over Asia into the start of London, manipulation, distribution. Normally with days that aren't so expansive, we could just see a drop, a build of liquidity coming into London. It's just such a big range to come back on. And then we would want, like a London sweep into New York. And then we would look for longs back up to take London high and take out liquidity that gets built here. So that's sort of game plan for the day. These are really good when this happens. And follows like this 20 SMA all the way down, building all these liquidity levels, and we come back, sweep. To be more probably over here, you get a like a 930 sweep of a London low. You'd want like a 10 o'clock macro, so 10:05, 10:15, low back into a zone, and then long back the other way. And same thing, so we would draw out a zone from the Q3 or Q2 manipulation that New York does. Get our breakout displacement, look for OTA retracement back into the zone, and long back up from there. Should be interesting to see what happens. Well, guys, that concludes the daily review, our high time frame review, and plausible plays for the day. There's no other questions. I'll end the stream there. Cool. Thanks, guys.